Hello there and welcome to this explanation of the Rocks and Fossils topic box by me, Mr. B from mytopicbox.co.uk. So just before we get started, let me explain how it works. Basically, teachers, I'm going to take the items out and explain them with the aid of a fact file that will pop up on the screen, and of course you can pass it around and you're welcome to pause the video at any time to discuss it with the pupils or if they have any questions. So without further ado, let's get going with number one. So the first one of our biggest fossils, is a woolly mammoth tooth. Let's go to the fact file.
Okay, so our first one is this incredible woolly mammoth tooth. It's 30,000 years old. It's found in the North Sea by fishermen who often they're quite easily mistaken for just bunches of barnacles and lumps of rock. You really need to know what you're looking for and have a keen eye for it. And when you take it off, of course, it's got the tooth inside it. It has deep ridges for grinding those plants up, which tell us that the mammoth was a herbivore. So basically, mammoths shed their teeth all the way through their life, 6 times through their life, and unfortunately, when the teeth were all finished, more often than not, that was it for the mammoth, sadly. So there you go, that's a woolly mammoth tooth.
Next up, number 2 is a fossilized fish that's 20 million years old. Let's go to the fact file.
Okay, so we've got a really interesting one here. This fish fossil is 20 million years old. What's interesting about this is that fish have hardly changed at all. So if you're doing evolution for this topic instead of just rocks and fossils, then this is a really good example of how if something just fits its environment, it doesn't really change much throughout time. And there's loads of examples of animals that haven't changed much. Whales, for example, are the same. This is called a carbon film fossil, as it's just a thin imprint of the creature. So there you go, our 20 million years old fossil fish.
Next up, number 3 is something that I think you'll all enjoy seeing, a Megalodon tooth. Let's go to the fact file.
Okay, so this is almost everybody's favourite, the mythical Megalodon. I say mythical because it doesn't exist anymore. It's almost mythical, as if it's been made up, but it's not been made up. It was a real creature. It was 10 million years old. It's one of the biggest predators at 20 metres long, and it had 250 razor sharp teeth. It also lost, get this, 100,000 teeth in its lifetime, which meant you can get quite a lot of them. They're not all as big as this one, but there you go, this is a great example. So this is a Megalodon tooth.
Next up, number 4 is one of the most numerous fossils. It's called a bivalve. It's number 4. Let's have a look at the fact file.
Okay, so now we've got a very weird looking creature, this bivalve. It's 200 million years old. It's an ancestor of modern shellfish, as you can see there. It's got what we call an exoskeleton, so this outer skeleton that protects it from the world, and they're often called alien fossils, and you can see why. And again, if you're doing evolution as your topic instead of just rocks and fossils, you can see the origins of modern shellfish in this. You can see how they're related, even though maybe it's a bit of an odd shape compared to some shells, this one. Okay, so there you go, a bivalve.
And also from the bottom of the sea, from the same place, is number 5, which is a polished sea urchin. Let's go to the fact file.
Okay, so here's one of our really beautiful polished fossils. We've got a few of these for you today. It's a polished sea urchin, and basically what happens is when people polish it using really clever machines, it reveals much more detail of the actual creature inside. Now, you're not looking at the inside of the creature, you're looking at the way that the different parts of the creature is what we call mineralized, which is how fossils are made at different times. So it reveals this detail. It's related to starfish, it's from the same family, and of course you still get them today. So evolution, again, it's another example of how they still sort of endured through time and they still live today. So there you go, a 10 million year old polished sea urchin.
The next one is a very popular fossil because it looks very alien-like. I've always enjoyed looking at them, and this is called a trilobite. So let's have a look at the fact file.
Now, you thought the bivalve was a weird looking creature. Check out this one, the trilobite. I thought it'd be a bit more interesting to put an artist's impression of what they look like on the sea floor, and they look a little bit like wood lice, don't they, that you find when you sort of move a plant or something like this. It's 260 million years old, and these are really intriguing because they all died out in an extinction event 250 million years ago. It's the same type of event where an asteroid hit the Earth that killed the dinosaurs. It's 65 million years ago. The same thing happened here, and they just wiped out. So in the fossil record, when you dig down, you find them at 280 million years, 260, 250, and then suddenly they just stop. And there's lots of different types. There's some really weird types. They're well worth looking up if you fancy having a look on Google and checking them out. Okay, so that's a trilobite.
Number 7 is a genuine dinosaur bone from a place called Kemkem in Africa. Let's go to the fact file.
Okay, so here we have a really cool dinosaur bone fossil from a place called the Kemkem Beds in Africa. It's between the border of Morocco and Algeria, southeastern Morocco, and it's always got this distinctive, all dinosaur bones now, this distinctive pink colour which comes from the sand there, and dates all the way back to the Cretaceous period. We don't know what dinosaur it is because there are quite a few random bones there. It's very difficult to identify them, but you can see the structure of the bone, you can see the texture as well. So there you go, a lovely Kemkem dinosaur bone.
Now to number 8, and staying on the theme of dinosaurs, we've got a dinosaur egg shell. Got a great texture on it, this one. You know what I'm going to say? Let's go to the fact file.
Okay, so now we've got this great Saltosaurus dino egg shell. They died out in the same extinction event that killed all the dinosaurs. Well, I say all the dinosaurs, 65 million years ago. Some were left. You might not know this, but some were left, and they are the birds we have today. Some of the smaller dinosaurs, they evolved into the birds. And you can see, here's the link. We've got eggs, an egg-laying dinosaur here. Saltosaurus meaning lizard from Salta, and many are found in Argentina, quite a lot. But as I just mentioned before, you can see that wonderful texture on the egg, so make sure you have a look at that. So there you go, Saltosaurus dino egg shell.
Now for number 9, and another seabed creature. A sponge. Doesn't feel like a sponge now, but let's find out more in the fact file.
So this is yet another creature that's an example of how creatures can live through time and survive extinction events, because we still have them today. We have them in your bath maybe, because they're used in baths all over the world. Now don't get them confused with the rubber sponges you have, which are all cut round the edges and all square or round, perfectly round. This is a natural sponge. You might have seen one of these as well. 5 million years old, lived at the bottom of the sea, and it's incredible that these managed to survive as fossils, really, because they are soft. So and a lot of soft fossils don't always survive. So there you go, a 5 million year old sea sponge.
Okay, now on to number 10, something you might have seen if you know about Jurassic Park, and this is an insect in copal, not amber. There's amber in the opening of Jurassic Park with an insect in it, and that's how they get the dinosaurs, but this is copal. The main difference is that amber is millions of years old and copal is 10,000 years old, but they formed in a very similar way. So let's go to the fact file for the copal.
Now, as I said, if you've seen Jurassic Park, you'll know all about this. Insects in copal. The myth is, the story is in Jurassic Park that they get the DNA out of the insects in it, which is quite far-fetched. You can do that, but I don't think you'd be able to create dinosaurs from it. This is the difference with copal and amber, is that copal is thousands of years old and amber is millions of years old. That's basically it, but it's made in the same way. The insects inside are called true form fossils, and these are actually squishy, and I know this myself because copal is very brittle and it has broke, and inside you can actually see the insect just as if it died yesterday. So there you go, insects in copal.
So you've already seen a dinosaur bone here, but now let's have a look at the inside of a dinosaur bone. So number 11 is a polished section of dinosaur bone, so you can actually see what's going on inside and how it was made. So that's number 11, the polished dinosaur bone. Let's go to the fact file.
Okay, so yet another polished item that's absolutely gorgeous to look at. Make sure you have a good look at this when it's passed around. This polished dino bone, 80 million years old, and of course it reveals more detail, as we've already said. It shows the cells inside where the bone, where it made its blood, just like you or me, and that's where dinosaur's blood was made. So if you just think about what you're touching, what you're looking at there, actually created the blood of a dinosaur. So it just reveals so much more about the animal when you can polish them like this. So there you go, a polished dino bone.
And it's sticking with the theme of dinosaurs again for the Spinosaur tooth for number 12. Let's go to the fact file.
So here we go with yet another tooth, not as big as the mammoth tooth this time, our Spinosaurus tooth. You can see as we pass it around it's still quite shiny, and that's a unique feature of teeth. They've got this incredibly hard stuff called enamel on them. It's the hardest stuff in any animal. This one's 100 million years old. The name of a Spinosaurus sounds quite obvious really. Its name means spine lizard. Many are found in Morocco and Africa. So there you go, a 100 million years old Spinosaurus tooth.
Now number 13 is a really interesting one because it's not a dinosaur at all, or an animal or a fossil. This is actually Libyan desert glass. Now Libyan desert glass is formed when a meteorite millions of years ago hit the desert and fused it together. But more about that in the fact file.
So although this box is pretty much about fossils all the way through, although there are some rocks as well, this is our first rock for us to look at and pass round. As I say, there are some more rocks, don't worry about that in the bottom of the box in a task you're going to do later. But for these ones that we're looking at today, this is our first one. And it's Libyan desert glass. I had to put it in because it's so interesting. It's 29 million years old, although you get a variety of ages because it can happen any time. It's when a meteorite hits the sand. Its proper name, you can see the name there in the word, it's impactite, from the word impact. And it melts the sand, melts it all together, just like glass. So there you go, Libyan desert glass.
Okay, so most of the things we've looked at, in fact almost all of the things we've looked at so far, come from animals. So this time we're going to go to trees and plant life, and this is a fossil fern. So this is number 14 if you want to pass that around, a fossil fern. Let's go to the fact file.
Okay, so for a nice change we've got a plant fossil, a tree fern from an ancient rainforest, 50 million years old and very common in some areas. It's often found in coal mines from old tropical forests, and I can speak about this firsthand because one of my dad's friends was a coal miner, and quite often he would bring back tree ferns caught in coal from his coal mine here where I live in the northwest of England. So you get loads of them. He says it just every single time he went down chipping coal out he found some tree ferns. So they're really common, but they're just really beautiful to look at. So there you go, it's a tree fern, 50 million years old.
Now the next one, number 15, is one of the most common fossils in the world. This is an Ammonite fossil. This one is actually from a place called Lyme Regis in Dorset, where a very famous person called Mary Anning used to collect them in the 1800s. But more about that in the fact file.
Okay, so this is a fossil that some of you might have already seen because they are sold quite a lot in seaside resorts and places where they appear on the cliffs, where they're exposed in the cliffs, especially this place that I've just mentioned on the Jurassic coast in England, where this famous fossil collector Mary Anning lived, and that's where the rhyme comes from actually. She sells seashells by the seashore. See if you can have a go at that, it's quite tricky, but that's all about her. So this is 100 million years ago. It could be the size of a large dog, so you definitely don't want to be swimming in the sea with these. So there you go, the famous Ammonite.
Back to trees again for number 16, and this is a really nice one because it's been polished so you can actually see this section of the tree in this one. You can actually see the rings and everything. This is really nice. So let's go to the fact file.
So just like the other polished fossils, it's incredible how much detail this reveals and how it really tells us about the living thing, the once living thing that is now a fossil, of course. In trees, that gives you the growth rings. Now you can actually count, if you get a modern tree and you chop it down, you can actually count the rings and you can work out how old the tree is, and you could also do it with this, I guess. So there you go, this is a polished tree section from a tree 50 million years old.
So number 17 is a really interesting one. This is a whale ear bone. More about this in the fact file.
Now you might think this is a bit strange that whale ear bones are so small, but they are. Don't forget it's an ear bone, it's not the actual ear, so it's just like your ear bones, they are very small right in the inside of your ear. So this is 5 million years old. It used to be hollow inside and contained smaller bones that all moved together to make the sound, to recreate the sound so that the whale could hear. And it's still exactly the same today in modern whales. So for evolution people who out there who are doing your evolution topic, there you go, the whales are obviously very successful, so they haven't changed at all. Okay, so there you go, a whale ear bone, 5 million years old.
Now it's time for number 19, and you've already seen this once here, but not cut in two. So this is a cut in two polished version of an ammonite. Let's go to the fact file.
So this is our final polished item, and just as I said before, you get this amazing detail when you cut things open and you polish them. And here, the way that the parts of the shell have mineralized at different rates gives us this incredible insight into what it's really like inside an ammonite. So there you go, just the same as before, 180 million years old. It's that weird squid-like creature in a shell. It's an ammonite, a polished ammonite.
And finally, I'm going to show you something now that is in one of the tasks that you'll actually be doing afterwards, one of the group tasks. You'll be sorting some of these yourself. These are sand shark teeth. Let's go to the fact file for the last time.
So here we go, we made it all the way to our final fossil. This is 5 million years old. It's an extremely common fossil as shark constantly shed their teeth. He still exists today. He's not very pretty, is he really? But we love him because there's plenty of teeth around to tell us exactly what he was like millions of years ago. So there you go. I hope you enjoy the task that you're going to be sorting when you sort these out as part of your group task in a short while. But there you go, a sand shark teeth for our final fossil.
So there you go. I hope you enjoyed handling those fossils and learning all about them from this topic box containing rocks and fossils from mytopicbox.co.uk. I hope you enjoyed the other activities as well. Some of them might surprise you. There's some really nice online content as well where you can look around, you can scroll around and see some 360-degree views of the items you've seen here. And if you've been listening well today, you might be able to answer some of the questions that appear there. So thanks very much for watching, and I hope to see you again soon. Goodbye.